Hello and happy St. Joseph's Day. So today is not Sunday, which is when I normally do these, but it's St. Joseph's Day, and St. Joseph's story is kind of neat, right? He was the father of Jesus. So that's why I want to take a second to talk about this. So as it's known, so Joseph did not know Mary before he became Jesus' father and married her and took her into his home and raised Jesus with her. So he had not met this woman, and he knew that this was a pregnant woman, and that was extremely frowned upon in society, right? You should definitely be married before you have a baby. Um, so here's Joseph, your average Joe, so to speak. I mean, he was just a carpenter. And so God says, hey man, you're going to marry this woman, and she's pregnant, by the way, and yeah, you guys are going to be together. So Joseph is just your average person. He was a regularly, fairly religious man, and so he's like, okay, this is cool, I'll do this. But of course, gossip spreads around. There was gossip in ancient times as well. Gossip got around that Joseph was with this woman, and she was pregnant, and this baby was not his. And here's Joseph, this righteous man who's never done anything wrong in his life, and he's just thinking, wow, this is going to look really bad on me. I'm a carpenter, okay? If people start realizing I'm with this pregnant woman, we're not married, this isn't my kid, I've never met this lady before in my life, this is just going to look really bad. People in the synagogue are going to start talking about me. I'm going to lose some of my customers from my carpentry business. So Joseph has got all this going around in his head, right? And he's thinking to himself, what would be a really easy way out of this? I'm just going to divorce her quietly. I'm not going to make a scene. I'm just going to get out of this. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So Joseph, he comes up with this not so much elaborate plan, but this is his thought process now, right? He's going to save his reputation. He knows that this poor lady, sucks to be her right now. She's this pregnant virgin, right? So, I mean, she is, but this is a miracle of God, right? So she's this pregnant lady, and the baby's not his, and he feels bad for her, of course, because here's this unmarried lady gonna have this baby all by herself. How's she gonna support it by herself? She's a woman. This is ancient times. She's not, gonna go become the next doctor or whatever. So he's like, you know what, it stinks to be her, but I'm gonna go to bed right now, and I'm gonna divorce her, and this whole thing will just be over, and I won't have to worry about it anymore, and I'm gonna keep my carpentry business, my good name will be saved, my reputation will be saved, and it's fine. So he goes to sleep that night, and he has a dream, but it's a vision, right? An angel comes to him and says, hey, bruh, you can't divorce her. You've been chosen by God to raise this baby with her. What are you doing? So Joseph wakes up from this dream, and he's convinced, right? This God chose him to carry out this responsibility. No matter how bad it's going to look on him, it's going to look even worse on her. So the least he can do is support her, right? And raise this baby with him. So he drops with her rather. So he just drops everything to go help Mary raise this baby and to take Mary in as his wife. This lady he's never met before, probably, has never even seen her, except for maybe in passing, has no idea who this is, and he's going to take her into his house with her, marry her, and help her raise this baby. So in doing that, he takes a lot of the shame off of her, right? Here's this pregnant woman, she's single, she's going to be a single mother, like, oh, everyone's probably poo-pooing on her. I bet other women are getting around her and Sunday brunch going, have you heard about Mary? So, Joseph takes her in, and he takes all of her shame, and he takes all of his shame. He's like, you know what? God has chosen me for this. God has chosen me to do this. God wants me to do this, and I'm going to do it. I'm not even going to think twice about it. Well, I already have thunk twice about it. This angel came up to me, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns here. God asked me for a favor. And so this, Jesus asking you for a favor out of the blue is a common theme, right? A couple weeks ago we had Jesus and the fisherman, and the fisherman was out fishing all night, and Jesus goes, hey guys, throw your nets, go fish where you haven't fished before. And they're all like, okay, Jesus, you know so much about fishing, right? You're a carpenter's son, you're a carpenter, but okay, we'll go throw our nets out in the deep water. And, here's something that they didn't really want to do, but God told them, you should probably do this, so we're going to listen to God. And look what, they were greatly rewarded for that, right? They were out fishing all night. They caught no fish. And here they are with so much fish, they need all their help to prepare people to get these fish, right? So, again, with that kind of concept, like, Jesus is not just going to put you into the deep water and say, all right, sink or swim. No, he's going to be there to help you along the way. So just like God was there to help Mary and Joseph, right? So God could have chosen anybody to be Jesus' father, right? So he chose this righteous woman, Mary, and that makes sense, right? We want this pure, wholesome woman to carry this baby and to, make sure that he's raised in a wholesome, pure lifestyle, right? So that makes sense. We want Mary. We get Mary. But what about Joseph? He could have chosen anybody to be the dad, right? He could have chose some rich guy to be the dad and said, hey man, my son's going to have a ball in life. He's going to be driving Ferraris around. He's going to be, taking them snaps on Instagram. He's going to be one of those rich kids of Snapchat. But God did not do that. He decided to have Jesus grow up as a humble life. Joseph was your average Joe. He was a carpenter, and he, didn't make bad money, but he was your average, a representation of your average man in that time. And that's what God wanted for Jesus, right? He just wanted Jesus to grow up in a regular kind of household so that he could relate to us, so that he could experience those real world problems, so that he could be bullied in school, so that he would be picked on, so that he could be ridiculed, so that when people come up to him saying the same things like, oh man, someone's picking on me, Jesus can relate, right? So Jesus is us. He was picked on. He was ridiculed. People didn't believe him. You're the Messiah. Psh, okay, and I'm King George. So he wanted Jesus to grow up with a normal family, as a normal man, as a normal boy, to have this normal childhood. He learned the trade. Jesus grew up as a carpenter, even though he's the Son of God. And he's the Son of God, for crying out loud. He could have done anything. But he grew up to have this normal childhood, to have this normal average Joe of a life, so that he could better relate to us. And who better to do that than your average Joe or Joseph? So, when Jesus asks you to drop everything and to do him a favor, it's in your best interest to do it. But Jesus is also not going to say, okay, you're on your own. Just like with those fishermen, they had other fishermen in the water that they could call upon for help. They had friends they could help. Sometimes you just need a lifeline in life, and you can call up Jesus. I'm sure God didn't just say, okay, Joseph, you're going to raise this baby, okay, bye. No, he had that open conversation with him. And even when Joseph doubted that he was chosen for this, he's like, I can't do this. I don't know this woman. This is going to look real bad on me. My reputation's at stake here too. This is going to look bad. He called back on God. God said, hey, he's struggling with this. He's having a hard time. He needs some help. So God sent this angel down to Joseph, and this angel talked some sense back into him and gave him a little bit of a pep talk and said, hey, you can do this. God could have chosen anybody to do this, and he chose you. You should be so happy about this. And so that's when Joseph woke up, and he's like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to do this. I can do this. I'm going to drop everything for the Lord, and he's going to help me. Right? So, this is why Joseph is so awesome, and this is why we celebrate St. Joseph's Day. And when God presents you with the challenge, or when life presents you with the challenge, you've got to take it, right? God is always on your side. God wants you to succeed. Did Jesus send those fishermen into that deep water so they could be eaten by a shark? No. Okay? Did God choose Joseph just so he could be ridiculed purposely, so that he could be ridiculed and picked on for having this pregnant woman with him, and it's not even his baby? No. But God knew that Joseph was a strong man, and he was strong-willed, and he was your average person, and he had faced some hardships, and he would continue to face hardships. But God was there for him. He was always there by your side. So that's just something we need to remember, right? You're never doing this alone. You can always call on Jesus or God. You just pray and ask for a lifeline, right? When the going gets tough, Jesus gets going. Jesus is always on your side. So remember that, and just try to be, it's okay to if you're just an average Joe.